This is Seth Lawrence, News and Program Director for WHOW and WEZC. We take pride in being Clinton and Central Illinois' local radio stations each and every day, 7 days a week. What does local news mean? Here's a sample.
The latest is that we finally have an approved plan from the Office of State Fire Marshal. That is very good.
So we made the decision to bring it down. We're going to put something back really nice for them.
It just feels, it's a good feeling, but it's still kind of surreal. You know, I'm very excited about the opportunity.
If I get a radio that goes down and we can't get an ambulance someplace because we don't have the radio capabilities, when people ask why our radios failed, I'm going to say, I asked, they told me no.
You hear the local people that make the news every day, 7 days a week on the big 1520 AM, 92.3 FM, and 106.5 FM WHOW, and on the station playing America's best music, 95.9 FM WEZC. News time is 10 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday morning, pardon me. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Coming up in news this morning, the Clinton Chamber of Commerce is turning to online ticket sales for this year's haunted house. Details coming up with Executive Director Janice Peterson, and a local nonprofit is using everyday technology to improve its marketing. Those stories this morning in local news. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The Clinton Chamber of Commerce is planning to simplify ticketing for its annual Terror on Washington Street haunted house. On the WHOW Morning Show Friday, Executive Director of the Chamber, Janice Peterson, told Regional Radio they are switching to an online ticket system. You'll still be able to purchase tickets in person, but online will give you access to haunted house tickets, escape room tickets, and merchandise that you can pick up at the haunted house.
We are going with online tickets this year, which is something brand new. This is our first year to do it, so please, everybody, be patient. The links will be up on our haunted house website and on our website on Facebook. Once it's live, we will have the links all over everywhere.
Okay.
Well, this was, like I said, the first time that we were doing it. So Aaron and I pretty much interviewed 4 different companies that do this. And we chose a company called HauntPay. That's what they do. So it just was, all of them were good. All of them had good points, and we had a hard time. But we went with HauntPay, and basically the customer will just go online, tell it how many tickets it wants. They will be able to buy tickets for the haunted house. They will be able to buy escape room tickets. There will be hopefully T-shirts and tumblers for sale that they can just go ahead and purchase, and then they can pick them up at the haunted house. So that'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They'll also, if someone doesn't know that we have online tickets or has cash and just wants to purchase them on site, that will still be available. We will have our goal is to have ticketed time slots, which means that X amount of people can get in from 7 to 7:15.
Yeah.
And then when that slot is full, they'll move to 7:30 to 8. Or you can, let's say you don't want to come till 9 o'clock. You can pick the 9 o'clock spot. So that will help hopefully alleviate the congestion in the house and the long waiting lines, because there's people, as you know, wait for 2 hours, and that's just, we don't want that.
Peterson indicates they are still in need of about a half a dozen volunteers as they prepare the haunted house for the season. Although they're only working a couple of nights a week as of now, she notes it will get busier as they approach opening day.
We still need the volunteers to just help with, doesn't even have to be construction work, just it'll be decorating, cleaning, because we still have to clean everything. I mean, we just need people. Have to be age 16.
Okay.
And just give me a call at the chamber office at 935-3364 if you're interested. It might mean hanging clown posters. It might mean if there's a new room, actually putting pictures on the wall or painting something on there. Right now we're working Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 6 to 8. It'll get a little bit more as we get closer. But we're usually out of there by 8:15.
Okay.
We've got several volunteers that are very, very good, but we can always use help. It's going to come down to the last wire. We're going to be working 7 days a week on it.
Peterson explains there is still work to be done inside and outside the house. They still need to put down gravel in case of rain, upgrade the concession stand, and, of course, advertise.
We had an issue with it raining. We had people walking in ankle-deep water.
Oh, wow.
So this year we're working on getting some gravel down. Mm-hmm. We are upgrading our concession stands so that we can get new popcorn machine, new water heaters, just stuff like that. Okay. So that's getting done. Right before we open, we put TVs outside, and there's some black boxes, if anybody notices, on the side of the building. Those will hold a TV, and those will be playing when the haunted house is open.
Okay.
So, and then I have, of course, my advertising. I have to get the word out there that the house is open, what days the house is open.
Many do not realize the Haunted House is a big fundraiser for the Chamber of Commerce, which is a nonprofit. By visiting the Haunted House, you're helping the Chamber support its members.
I know a lot of people don't realize that the Chamber is a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And we, in order to support our members and help them promote their businesses, etc., we need to do fundraisers, and this is the biggest one that we do. Usually, Haunted Illinois comes and visits us while we're open, and then they do an article or review.
That's fantastic.
They did that last year, and it's one of the bigger ones in the state.
Peterson hopes tickets will be ready in a few weeks, but they do not have an official date yet. The first day for the Haunted House is October 4th. If you'd like to purchase tickets, visit ClintonILChamber.com. You can also follow them on Facebook. A local nonprofit is using everyday technology to bring business to DeWitt County. The DeWitt County Development Council is looking into new ways to track data of people coming and going through DeWitt County. Executive Director Kurt Homan plans to use a program that will track things like people entering the county, where they are coming from, and how long they stay, all thanks to the power of the cell phone.
We're always looking for the latest and greatest technology and trends, and everybody's probably heard of artificial intelligence, and everyone in the world has a cell phone, and there's an awful lot that can be done through cell phone data tracking. And so, we've recently looked into some programs out there that will track who's coming into our county, where they're going, how much time they spend here, where they came from. All of this is tracked through cell phones. So we can look at, again, the number of people that drive by Clinton, as an example, on a particular road, or Farmer City along the highway. We can tell how many of those people stop, how many of these people don't stop, if there's any trends that go along with it, and then potentially how to market to those. We can even identify their incomes, their jobs, and a lot of data that could be extraordinarily useful to our local businesses.
Homan says their goal is to get people to spend more time and money in DeWitt County, and while national economic data seems bleak, that is motivating the DCDC to increase revenue of the local community.
One of the things we'd like to see is some of the lake traffic spend more time and more money in DeWitt County. Well, how do we do that? What do we know about our lake traffic? Well, really, we might know a few people that come here, but we don't really know a lot of data. Where are they coming from? What's their income? What's their job? Where are they staying? Where are they stopping? Are they just coming in, going to the lake, and then leaving? Or are they coming here and there? Are they making some additional stops? If they're not making additional stops, we need to be able to target specifically to those individuals and find ways to get them to do that. So on one hand, I say, economic data right now on a nationwide basis isn't super positive. On the other side of it, that makes us really want to be more proactive with the folks that are here and capture every dollar that we can for our local businesses and for our local, our taxing authorities. Every dollar that's spent on gas helps fix a road, locally. So that's a positive thing, and that's what we're looking at. That technology is not particularly cheap. For DeWitt County, for us to take that project on is somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,000 to $15,000 per year. And we would want to track that data over time, and then be able to share that so that our businesses can market more effectively, so that our communities can market more effectively. And ultimately, we feel like that's probably going to be a great investment for everyone.
Well, this may seem like a frightening concept. Personal data like names is not tracked, Homan points out. All the data collected will be based on the amount of individuals and not the individuals themselves.
I can tell you there are multiple other counties, cities, municipalities that are already doing this and doing it to their advantage. So the technology, it's almost scary, the technology's out there. So I don't have to do anything on my phone. Just so you know, if I drive wherever I'm driving, I'm being tracked via my cell phone. And through online activity or otherwise, someone knows an awful lot about me. So it's not shared on just so everyone knows, it's not shared on an individual basis. So I don't know that, Seth went to, the grocery store today, and then he, to this restaurant for lunch, and then he went home, and then, I don't know those things. But we know them on a data basis. So there's not a names associated with it, but I have all the data. So I have that X number of individuals came into our county, X number didn't. Here's where they all came from. And, here's the ones that stopped. Here's the ones that went to a business establishment. I mean, it's almost unlimited data. Here's their jobs. Are they in management? Are they in retail? Are they in, here's the income breakdowns. I mean, it's crazy.
While this may seem, Homan says this is something that can be useful sooner rather than later in DeWitt County. He explains they would receive the data immediately, and although more data that is gathered over time, the better, the earliest data is still viable.
We would get that data immediately, and unless it changed, I think there's some things that our businesses could do, or our non-for-profits or our cities, our communities could do immediately, but over the trend over a longer period of time is also important as well. So apple and pork, we can identify very, very accurately how many people we have at Apple and Pork, where they came from, how much time they spent there. If there is a trend with that, then you can market to that. So if you see there's a large number of people driving 3 hours early in the morning, and they're not stopping for breakfast in your community, maybe you can find a way to serve them breakfast. Maybe you can find a way to get them to fill up their gas tank before they go. So certainly it could be long-term, and it certainly would be long-term because you would get the trends over time. But if you're seeing immediately that, for Farmer City as an example, and I'm going to make this number up, if there's 10,000 people driving by Farmer City, and only 300 are pulling off the interstate to come in, of those, what's the number of community residents? Why are those other people coming? Why aren't the other people coming? And what can you do to attract some of those 10,000 more into town off the interstate? That could be something that could be done quickly. Actually, I think the payback would be quick if people embrace the technology.
This program would not cost more to the taxpayers. The money would be a part of the councils and counties' regular ask. Homan notes that it's important to have the support of the local county and local communities behind the project. 22 minutes after 7 o'clock is news time on this Monday. Still to come here on the morning show, Conservation World remains a top attraction at the Illinois State Fair as the State Fair rolls on this week. A Farming for the Future program is this week at the U of I Extension, and more detections of West Nile virus in Illinois. Those stories and more still to come on the morning show.
Still time for summer savings at Baum Chevrolet Buick. This is Scott Baum. Our goal is to make your purchase decision easy. That's why we have our prices posted on each and every car. For August, see our summer savings posted on each Chevrolet car, truck, SUV, crossover, and EV, especially the sporty Trailblazer and the all-new Chevy Trax. As always, our Silverados are in stock and ready to work for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City, right from the start.
Again, news time, 23 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Illinois Department of Natural Resources Director Natalie Phelps-Finney loves showing off Conservation World at the Illinois State Fair.
Conservation World is just, first of all, just a beautiful space, 30 acres little rolling hills, pathways, lots of shade trees, just a beautiful space, wildflowers, pollinator gardens. Just a beautiful thing to take in. And then you've got all the wonderful attractions. It's open daily from 10 to 7 during the fair. We have, the kind of the normal attractions, kind of the things that people have come to enjoy every year, like the Voyager canoe. We've got the BB tent. There's archery, all kinds of shows. There's a lumberjack show and the whip guy who, if you've not seen him, he's amazing. He's a world record holder on lots of things with whips. It's pretty impressive. And then this year we have some new things. We have be a climate action hero, where we're going to do some demonstrations, a lot of kid friendly stuff where they can create slime and explore with some things that are climate friendly things. And so it's really interesting things there. And then finally, one of the newest things is Everyone Belongs in Nature, which is our new logo. We've embraced it, DNR, the last couple of years. It is a nature passport. So we're going to, when kiddos or adults that want to do it come in, if they get a passport. It's kind of like when you go to Disney World, kids do this. If they go to the 10 must visit spots, and they go to those 10 and they get it stamped at each side that they've participated in those activities, they can come back to the beginning and get a special prize.
The Illinois State Fair runs through Sunday. The University of Illinois Energy Farm in Urbana is hosting Farming for the Future Digital and Regenerative Agricultural Field Day this Thursday. Among the topics are seeding, monitoring, and intervention with drones, says U of I Extension's Bina Peg.
So the drone seeding and monitoring is pretty cool. There are drones that can visualize your field at a really high resolution and determine where there is an issue with that monitoring. And then you can deploy these drones to do an intervention, like maybe spray a pesticide or do a targeted, I guess a targeted pesticide intervention would be like a really good method of targeting a field issue. And then the other one that they were going to show with drones was seeding, like aerial seeding. So that would be just something that the farmers could do for cover crops. Just a method that might work a little bit easier for, again, targeted areas.
The program is free. Register at go.illinois.edu/Regen Tech Day. That's REGEN Tech Day. Local health departments are urging people to fight the bite and protect themselves from mosquitoes this summer. The West Nile virus can be serious for some, so Madison County Public Health Director Doug King says it's vital you take precautions.
Make sure just around your home, your gutters are cleared out, your bird baths are changed, fountains aren't the water's changed out, old tires, anything that can collect water and standing water. Make sure that's removed. Bushes, grass in ditches that hold water need to be mowed and cut. Also wear DEET when you're outside during the evening. They say wear long sleeves, but sometimes that's just not possible. It's so hot out.
Common West Nile virus symptoms include fever, nausea, headache, and muscle aches. Symptoms may last from a few days to a few weeks. However, 4 out of 5 people infected with West Nile virus will not show any symptoms. In rare cases, severe illness, including meningitis or encephalitis, or even death, can occur. People older than 50 are at higher risk for severe illness from West Nile virus. The state's Ag Pest Survey Coordinator is compiling data from the annual statewide insect pest survey.
We would say insect pressures were low. And going into the summer, with our mild winter, that we weren't really sure what to expect. Definitely the possibilities there to see some more insects. But I think one of the greatest challenges that we've faced over the past couple of years is we timed this survey, beginning of July. You want insects in the field. Yep, Japanese beetles are pretty much done emerging. This is the time so we can compare it year after year after year. It then becomes a race between us and every grower out there that started spraying. So there are insects out there. Our biggest I think roadblock to finding what's truly out there is that we'll start about the same time fungicide applications are starting, and with that, a lot of insecticides get added. So we come across a lot of fields that have been treated, and we don't know that until once we get in there and you're walking through a field and you're like, oh, there's the sprayer marks, or I'm walking through a cornfield and I'm like, there's not a single insect in here. But we do see insects, and so I really thought we'd see Japanese beetles. I think we had some localized pressure from Japanese beetles throughout the state, but it wasn't consistent. I think we had some higher populations in Western Illinois, but nothing near what we were seeing 5 years ago.
Kelly Estes is the Ag Pest Survey Coordinator and says the survey involves 40 counties and sweeping 200 fields. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Will a greater U.S. military presence in the Middle East ease tension in the region? Well, we'll be finding out as the Pentagon is sending more military hardware along with personnel to the volatile region. The mission said to be the defense of Israel in the event of an attack by Iran. Ukraine giving Vladimir Putin a taste of his own medicine. Ukrainian troops have stormed into Russia's Kursk border region, catching Russian forces off guard. They've been forced to scramble to counter the Ukrainian invasion. The Paris Olympic Games have closed. Team USA topping the medal count, 126. 40 of them are gold. It's gone but not forgotten. Looks like it'll take a while to set things right in the wake of the powerful storm Debbie. Debbie, which came ashore in Florida as a hurricane, claimed at least 7 lives. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures in positive territory. This is SRN News.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. The Mahomet-Seymour Bulldogs were a young group that last year, and coming into this fall, it's all about turning the corner. Coach John Atkins is excited about what his young team showed last year and how they used a quick exit in the Class 4A playoffs to fuel them this winter and summer. He feels his kids this year have a lot of similarities to his 2022 team that was very dynamic.
Yeah, I bet you people probably answered that question and said to themselves, wow, they have even more studs. Because although we were young last year, as you mentioned earlier, us going into this year returning 9 out of 11 starters on offense and then 6 out of 11 on defense, I think that they were probably pleasantly surprised that although we replaced a lot, going into last year from the previous year, we replaced them with talented kids and great kids on top of that. Hard workers, just great overall around program kids who are pretty special. And again, this senior class going into this year reminds us and had reminded us of that class 2 years ago. We kind of saw it, when this group was freshmen. We kind of all, as a coaching staff and probably many community members, kind of said the same thing from a standpoint of just how similar that these two classes are, and we had last year's group kind of right in the middle as a great buffer. So yeah, it was nice to kind of answer some questions last year and then hopefully kind of send a message, that we're still here and still producing quality talent. And again, I think that's a huge credit to our coaching staff as well.
This summer, Coach Atkins has focused on giving his athletes the tools to be good leaders on the football field. He notes that is in addition to his team's regular schedule of scrimmages and workouts.
We went to team camp at Eureka College, invited some local teams from around the area to come and kind of have some joint practice with us. We've done some 7-on-7s here and there. We hosted our own Friday Night Lights and then just kind of, mixed in a few practices here and there and with some weights and some running. So nothing too out of the ordinary from what we do every other summer. But to your point about what has been my focus, it's been our off-season leadership program. And I'll take that a step further. And we do it every year, but this year to me had more of an emphasis on it. I felt that was one of the things that, especially down the stretch of the season last year, we kind of lacked how to lead in certain moments or certain ways, and I 100% take the fault for that. It's my job to not only prepare these kids for a football game, but definitely to prepare them for how to handle those moments and what leadership looks like, in times of need. And I failed at that last year. I did not have our kids prepared as far as that's concerned. So that's been my major focus this entire offseason, is just continuing to develop leaders, as many leaders as I possibly can, so that when these moments kind of do arise throughout the course of the season, or certainly, when it comes crunch time, late in the playoffs and whatnot, that our kids know how to handle it and can get through it together. And again, we have those leaders to kind of keep us all together through those tough times. That's been my major focus this offseason with our leadership group.
Coach Atkins has his entire offensive line from last year back, as well as kids that played significant snaps behind his starters, in addition to a group of skill players that have significant experience.
This group's kind of had it lucky from a standpoint of they've got to watch those kids. They watched what those kids built. And so now they're kind of reaping the benefits, if you will, of what those kids, had done in the past. And so, again, I think it's amplified our off-season, weight room and conditioning. It's certainly helped our numbers. We got 137 kids. It's the most we've ever had in program history, freshman through senior. And then on top of that, right, like those kids want to live up to what they watch. They want to break these records and go on and play college ball, et cetera. So we got a senior class of about 24, 26, I think. But again, I think their goal is to live up to what that group of, before them did or accomplished. And certainly I think they want to try to do more. And so between those two things, it's really helped, again, propel the program as a whole. Some names that you heard last year that you're certainly going to hear again this year. Luke Dyer returns as our starting quarterback. Trey Peters returns as our starting wide receiver. He's now going to be a 3-year starter. Tyson Finch returns as a starting center. He'll be a 3-year starter. Colton Metcalf-Pullis returns at left tackle. He'll be a 3-year starter. So again, when you can have quality guys like that on the offensive side of the ball, that again have been through those great years. And kind of been a part of building that foundation. Again, they know what the expectation is certainly like. And anytime, you can return your three linebackers, all of them going to be seniors this year, Brock Vanderveer in the middle, Ethan Esker on one side, and Henry Wagner on the other. Again, I think that's definitely a core spot that any coach will tell you that they would love to have back when you can return those. And I'll end with this. And this has never happened in my career. And again, that's why I think it's incredibly special, not only for me, but for us as a whole, is we return all 5 offensive line starters. And on top of that, we return the 3 backups kids as well. So we're at least 8 or 9 deep on the offensive line that we feel like those 9 kids could absolutely be a starter for us if need be. Yeah, again, that's never happened in my career, but just that overall continuity and togetherness, and led by Coach Nate Sievers, who does an incredible job with that group. Again, I'll tell you this, outside of quarterback, maybe, I think any coach will tell you if you can return offensive linemen and linebackers, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. And luckily for us, we return all those kids.
The Bulldogs' strength will definitely be its offensive line. Coach Atkins likes the flexibility that will give them to do what it takes to win a game, then the ability to lean on its defense to win games this fall. Mahomet-Seymour will look to defend its Apollo Conference title of 2 consecutive years by hosting Morton to open the season and begin that Apollo schedule in Week 4 when they host Charleston. Major League Baseball yesterday, Cubs, Cardinals, and White Sox were all off on a rare Sunday in Major League Baseball. Desperate to win for the first time in nearly 2 years, and with the race suddenly slipping away, Austin Dillon sent 2 cars into the wall in rapid succession. The result was a season-changing victory, an avalanche of controversy, and at least 2 veteran drivers absolutely furious. Dillon raced and bumped his way to victory Sunday night, sending Joey Logano into a spin on the final lap to win in overtime at Richmond. It was his first win since August 2022 at Daytona. Dillon had 2 top 10 finishes this year and entered the race just 32nd in the standings. Now he's on track for the playoffs, but he did not get there gently. He appeared to be cruising to a victory when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece collided, forcing a caution of the entire 400-lap, 300-mile race, aside from the pre-scheduled ones at after the ends of the first 2 stages. So the drivers went to overtime, and Logano clearly got the better of Dillon on the restart. Then Dillon came up directly behind Logano and spun him. The 11 was Denny Hamlin, who appeared to be moving past Dillon on the inside after Dillon bumped Logano's 22 car. Then Dillon hit the back right part of Hamlin's car and put him into the wall too. Dillon emerged from the chaos with a victory for his number 3 Chevrolet. That number was famously driven often aggressively by Dale Earnhardt, but times have changed since Earnhardt's heyday, and Elton Sawyer, NASCAR's vice president of competition, made it clear the end of this race would be looked at. Dillon appeared to be on his way to a much less controversial win after passing Hamlin for the lead with 29 to go, but then Stenhouse-Preece crash and subsequent restart left Dillon in danger of agonizing defeat. Hamlin finished second, followed by Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain. Dillon's victory was not good news for Wallace and the other drivers on the playoff bubble. Christopher Bell won the first stage, but was later penalized for speeding on pit row and finished 6th. Daniel Suarez won the second stage. Martin Truex Jr. was knocked from the race by engine trouble early on. He remains the top winless driver in the standings. Next week, the series goes north to Michigan. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast.